Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tea with B. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to the Rebel Stages YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for being here today. How are we all doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Great, great, great.
Good, good, good. Thank you for being a part of this. I think it's important to keep the momentum going in this movement because I feel like we've gotten a little stagnant in some of it. So
Agreed. Don't want
we're
this to
gonna
be a trend that people ride out until it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
right, right, right,
It's more than a hashtag.
right. That actually brings me to my first question. How do you feel about um, everything just sort of being like stagnant and so kind of like what you said to me, or being a trend? Because that's kind of what it felt like, and now we're like, well, it's okay. Let's move on to the next thing.
I feel particularly with I'll say like the mainstream media's coverage of it, I feel like
Mhm.
now everyone is kind of shifting gears into caring a lot more about the election. And I see a
Mhm.
lot more coverage about what Trump's doing, what Biden's doing or not doing, and different things concerning that than this movement.
Mm.
I don't know if you
That's
guys agree or feel differently with that, but that's the trend that I've seen with the news outlet portion of it. The social media aspect of it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think the news outlet is always going to try to deflect from it, though. Like, they were only putting it on the news when the riots were like all the huge looting and fires and all the that was going on. The the protests are still happening. They're just a lot more peaceful and quiet now, and that's why they're not on the news.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed on social media it felt like in the beginning it definitely felt like it was more than just a trend, and Pride Month came like almost immediately after, and
Mhm.
everybody was like, don't silence this, like this is not your time, this is a time for all of us to like get behind Black Lives Matter. And then after that it became, now it's like I see mostly like the teachers having to go back to school
That's a
with
big one right now.
COVID still happening. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a huge problem and a huge issue that we should be talking about, but we can't
In addition
forget.
to it. Yeah.
Right. Like
In
Breonna
addition.
Taylor's murderers are still out there.
I think you guys make some very good points, and I think that the media does well, they wherever the hot news is, because what's happening and what's going to get people in and start viewing. Um, but I don't think it's that. Um, I think it's just more that right now we have so many things going on. We are, as a country, um, um, it's just going crazy right now. You have the pandemic, you have the economy, you have um, so much is impacted with the pandemic because it's, the kids need to go back to school. If the kids don't go back to school, parents can't go back to work. If parents don't go back to work, people are not going to buy things. Therefore, the economy is going to get worse. And um, election kind of is a really important thing because, in my opinion, if we don't change what's going on in the thing that's occupying the White House right now, um, it, he's not, handling and managing all of those things. He's not doing it, and it's not about Democrat. To me, Democrats or Republicans. It's more about he's not doing his job. He's not doing the job that the small percentage of Americans that elected him to do. You
Hmm.
know, and particularly with the pandemic, all of the things aside that he said and did leading up to the election and everything else he's done in the last 3 years, but managing and getting us through this, he's not been doing it. And it's like he's totally oblivious. I don't know. I don't, because every day he says and does things that just now I laugh at them. I mean, because the thing with when he came out with the Clorox thing, I was like,
God.
Oh no.
done.
Wait, the Clorox thing.
Oh no.
Oh.
What is the Clorox thing?
You didn't
It's
hear
the
it?
cure for COVID. You didn't know that?
Yeah, you didn't
What's
know?
the cure? Just
They-
pop a IV of Clorox or snort some, you know.
In your mug.
And he's
There's no way.
on international, and you know, I'm just like, and I laughed. I literally laughed when I heard him say that because I couldn't do anything else. I've gotten mad about it, and but it's just insane. But we have so many things that are going on. I think that people do still care about it, and we're losing so many people. So many, and then very important people. And the first person that comes to mind is John Lewis. But yeah, and I don't know. I just think that kind of like everything, we have so many ills in this in our society, in our country, and it's yeah, we do. We have to start somewhere, but I don't know. I'm older than you guys, and it just seems like to me, it is always the same story. Something happens, people are all up in arms, and we unite for a minute, and then after that, it is just a hashtag, and we look back on it and reflect on it until the next thing occurs, and that seems to be the carousel that we're on.
So real quick, just because we brought up Trump, and I know there are a lot of right-winged or centralist people who are going to watch this, I do want to say that I will give Trump credit where credit is due, because for one thing in particular that happened literally like last week or like a couple days ago, where he extended the CARES Act and extended certain relief forgiveness on loans, like college students not having to pay, not having a loan interest accumulate until December. He pushed it back.
It was originally till September or August.
It was originally till, I believe, the end of August, and he did give us a couple extra months. And so I'm going to acknowledge, even though I dislike Trump, I'm going to acknowledge when he does something that is what a decent, normal human being and good president would do.
Right.
Meaning that what he put into his executive order. But see, the other part of the executive order that he put it in there is to, let me get this right, eliminate the tax that employees have to pay through the end of the year. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night, and what we don't understand is the long term. For the short term, it's great, but for the long term, it's not, because what he's trying to do is get rid of Social Security.
Social Security. Mm-hmm.
And if you get rid of Social Security, okay, then give me my damn money back from the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that because now, by the time I get ready to retire, and when you guys get ready to retire under what they're trying to do right now, well, there's not going to be any more, there's not going to be anything for you to, you're not going to get any money monthly. And that, but that's part of the problem with, yeah, you do one good thing, but you have to look behind his back or behind their backs, and and seeing what else is that they're trying to pass off. And yeah, the CARES Act, there are some good things. But I don't but that's just the problem with, and probably why they're having, it is not probably, but it is the reason why they're having such a rough time, Congress getting this bill done, which is because, and a lot of people don't know this, but they put bills through and it's all, everybody is putting their little chips in based on what their needs are. And so they have to sit there and fight and decide, okay, well, we can't do that. We can't do this. We can't do that. And then some people were, if you're not going to do this, then I'm not going to sign off, because this benefits my constituents in my state. And those are the things that, even myself, we have to educate ourselves so that we understand when we're signing on to something or, that we understand fully what the implications are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How do we feel about, go for it, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna go and say how do we feel about our other option in this upcoming election as well? Because how do we feel about the other candidate, which is Joe Biden?
So can we really even call it necessarily an option? Is the way that I feel about it.
Yeah. And if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
How do we begin with this?
Do we know do you remember what he said?
Oh yeah. I've seen the interview. I've seen the interview.
Yep.
But Trump has also said that. So it's like,
I know.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of like almost we're kind of, well, I don't think that's the case. But some people will say that we're in the same circumstance that we were in 2016.
No.
I'm sorry.
Much different.
I love me some Hillary.
That you, well, for some people who don't want to vote for Trump and they don't want to vote for Biden either.
Right.
And that
I fall into that category. Here's the thing: is I call it an option because I don't truly have the agency to have anyone who I feel like represents my ethical, moral values.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily have a choice. I have, in that regard, do I quite literally, by the literal definition of a choice, have a choice? Yes, and I'm voting for Biden. But I do not like that option. There are a litany of other people who I think would be better candidates. And the only way Joe Biden will make me feel comfortable in my vote that he's unfortunately already secured in getting is who he chooses as his running mate, who he's already commented and said is most likely going to be a female candidate.
Of color, too, I believe.
Let me ask you this, just off how would we remedy this? Because that's probably the bigger question, because I hear people say what you say a lot, Tamir. And with the two-party system, I think that, it's kind of the, you're locked into a place where you're only going to have two options, and you're not going to, out of the millions of people in America, there's always going to be a segment that are not happy with the two choices that are left to them.
So my answer to that is a little, I guess, a little roundabout, not exactly direct. It's a little complex. So please, anyone jump in and stop me if you feel the need to. We're one of the only major first world countries that uses a two-party system. Other developed nations, other democratic or nations that are republics do not use two-party systems because they realize that there is no way you can put two ideologies out there and have a majority of people, 51% of people, agree with it. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
The system is broken.
Right.
The electoral college is broken and the two-party system is broken, and they are two distinctive problems that need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the reason I asked the question, because it does lead to all of that, and to, I think this country needs to take a look at all of our antiquated setup here and how it's probably worked for the last how many ever years it's existed, but it's not reflective of the society we live in now. I mean,
Yeah.
even rules and laws as well, it's federal, they have some laws on the books that are no longer even applicable. And I mean, come on, they don't
Right.
even, and that's, I don't know, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, where I come from is the person who I would have preferred to vote for in this election is Bernie Sanders. And were America not stifled into its two-party system, Bernie Sanders would not be with the current Democratic Party. He would be in his own separate, left-leaning party.
Right.
At the same time, I'm not someone who is a third-party apologist and is going to sit here and say, I'm putting a write-in in for Bernie. I'm putting a write-in for a libertarian candidate or some other third-party candidate, Green Party, whatever it is. I'm not going to do that because I realize the reality of the fact that as of right now, they do not have the platform to reasonably win. We need to change that platform from the outset of upcoming elections. Right now, with what we got, we kind of have shot ourselves in the foot by waiting so long to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize both those things, that it needs to change, but right now is not the time that we can enact that change in a meaningful way.
Why wouldn't you do a write-in?
For the reasons that I just said.
Vote for Trump.
If I were to write in Bernie Sanders, that's, even though it is like a meme and it is something that people have constantly been saying, it is voting for Trump, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just wanted to.
Here's the thing, it's living in a world of being too idealistic.
No,
I think you definitely need to be idealistic to have some sort of forward-moving progression into it. Idealists are the ones who change the world. Reality doesn't change until you add an idealist to it. George Washington has to say, no more monarchs. You know what I mean?
Right.
President want a peaceful transfer of power. You need that person who's going to be the exception to the rule. But as of right now, that's just not possible in this election in 2020.
Right, because it's more important to get 45 out of here.
Well, it's even more. At any other time, I'd probably say do your write-in. But right now, no.
That's why Hillary didn't win.
I mean, exactly. I have so many friends. Win. I have friends who, in the last election, did write-ins for legitimate candidates and write-ins for illegitimate candidates. Like people who didn't Harambe get a massive.
Yes, Harambe. Yes, a dead gorilla. I'm sorry. That infuriates me.
Got thousands of votes that took away from Hillary, who, again, let's not forget, lost by this much and won the popular
vote. Won the majority. Yep.
Exactly. So when people do that, they really don't realize the power that they have. And people who deny the power of the individual vote really are the reasons why we get unethical madmen in the White House.
What do you guys think?
Speak on it.
Theoretically, what's going to happen with this election?
Trump will be reelected.
Going to not be reelected?
I don't think so.
I think he'll be reelected.
I think he's lost so many votes. And if he does happen to win, it would be like a huge, some kind of controversy with the voting polls that would eventually come out and would be a huge scandal. And I don't see it happening.
I see Joe Biden winning under one condition.
Okay.
This man's team keeps him silent. Literally, the only way he's going to win is just by not doing or saying anything and just sitting there and smiling.
Trump has also said, because he's such a sore loser, he's literally a man-child, he has said before that he won't run if his numbers get low enough.
Sadly, Tamir, I have to say I agree. Agree with
Trump
you.
has also outwardly said if he's voted out, he's not leaving.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that we're going to see a very interesting election.
I think it'll somehow be the most interesting election of my lifetime.
Yes, it
And we've
will.
had some pretty interesting elections in my lifetime.
Yes, 2016 is not going to touch this one because
No.
it's
Really?
no.
Think so?
You know why it's not? Because what they're trying to do with getting people, they want people to go be able to mail in and vote, which to me is so reasonable in the current climate. We have a
There's
pandemic.
a pandemic.
Yeah, and it's so reasonable. But what he did this past weekend, put another postmaster in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading in Times that he's already made a bunch of changes. And that it is all, it's, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's just trying to get people not to vote. He is starting to see, Jazzy, I do agree with you that I do think that he won't be reelected.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the reason why he's doing all of these things right now to mitigate that, so that he does not lose, because he's polling very low.
So did Hillary, though.
Huh?
So did Hillary. That's why, I mean.
But the economy is not doing very well. People are not liking the way he's handling the pandemic. There are just all these signs out there that tell you that possibly under normal circumstances and with a normal person, he wouldn't win. But he's, he's a cheater.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I think is just so freaking interesting, though, is the people on the right don't even hate Joe Biden. Like, Trump has tried to run smear campaigns against him, but Joe Biden just isn't hateable. He's just not likable.
I wish he had run. I wish this was 5 or 10 years earlier, because I actually like Joe Biden a lot.
I do too.
But he's lost a lot of his mojo. Because he's older and, and all the things that has happened in his life and stuff. But I like, I still like him. But I wish it was an earlier time and he was running. I would think it would be a different
question.
A different and more, what's the word I'm looking for? Articulate Joe.
Do you feel that way because of his alleged mental health concerns?
Yeah, well, because it's alleged, but not only. I look at him. He's on TV right now, and he just doesn't have doesn't have quite the spark and quickness, which may not. We can sit here and theorize. It may not mean anything in terms of him governing. It may not mean a thing, but because we're not there with him, it just means that he's just moving a little slower right now. But
the problem is that I feel like Trump, for as idiotic as he is, quickness and rash decision making is kind of his strong suit, which is why I'm so interested to see what's going to happen when they actually do debate each other.
I thought they weren't doing a debate.
I think it's up in the air, and as of right now, from what I know, they're still doing it. They're just not going to be in the same location for the first time ever. And there was like this whole thing where Trump was like, I demand to like do it from like the Oval Office or some building in the White House. and people were trying to say that was unconstitutional. I don't really know what the whole controversy was there, but there was like some big thing where he was like, I want to like Zoom in or Skype in from the Oval Office.
He's funny.
And yeah, I don't know.
Flexing his power, showing he's the big guy in the office right now.
He's a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I hate him so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that much energy. But I mean, he's just not a very nice guy. And he hasn't been from day one. I mean, I remember New York, and I'm like seeing all these buildings get built, and and the city doesn't hold them, accountable and say, look, dude, you've built, several high-price buildings. It's time for you to do something and give back to the community. How about that? How about that?
I got another question for you guys. Because this is something that I've tried to think about and haven't been able to come to like a satisfying answer, I guess. What do you think Trump's post-presidential life is like? Do you think that he pulls a George Bush and just like retreats to the ranch and is never heard from again? Or do we think that he tries to continue to be politically active and politically relevant and in the newspapers?
Power is his food, so he's going to try to get any type of power that he can. I predict like seeing more Trump buildings. We're gonna see some more. He's gonna capitalize off of.
Do you think he's gonna become like a lobbyist?
Former presidency, yeah.
Do you think he's gonna become like a hardcore lobbyist?
Yes.
And try to basically use his money and his wealth and influence to more or less buy off politicians?
Yeah.
I could see it.
If he what?
If he's not in jail.
Well,
That's
the real reality a lot of people got to face is that the firing of like the dozens of people at the beginning of his administration, like the dude who was like the leader of the FBI or the head of the FBI, that dude who was like investigating him. Once he's not president, all those things can be seriously pushed and charged for.
Yeah.
It's a very real possibility he ends up in jail. Like, effective immediately.
Yeah. I'd love to see that.
I think probably, well, this is what one of my friends said, is they think that he'll probably try and start a television station.
I mean, he already owns Fox News, so we could just start there. Jones-esque Fox News show, that is a real possibility. It'll be him and his girl Candace.
Candace!
Candace gotta go. She gotta go.
She gotta go ASAP.
What makes me mad? Candace Owens gets me infuriated.
Too.
Yeah.
Infuriated.
She and Ben Carson and Stacey Dash, they can all have a seat someplace.
What was it? Kirk. What is his name? Kyle Kirk? Is that his name?
I don't know that guy.
Is he one of those twins?
No.
Oh, talking about the guys.
I forget the dude's name. He's another one who's like in that whole camp. Who just
what's his first name here?
His last name is Kirk. Kirk.
Kirk Franklin?
You know what he does?
I think he may be a business owner, but he is he's like in the same vein as Candace Owens, to where he's not an actual government sanctioned politician, but he's someone who needs his opinions to be heard.
He just talks enough to make people think that they should listen to him.
Exactly. Like he's like a Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, like in that camp of alt-right thinkers who just make.
Kirk?
What'd you say?
Charlie Kirk?
Charlie Kirk, that's his name.
I looked him up.
Oh yeah, you want to give yourself an aneurysm? Watch any video he's on. Like, if you would like to force yourself into a state of aneurysm.
I've seen Candace, and if I was a person that would punch my own phone or throw it or iPad across the room, I would have. And it's infuriating, and it's not infuriating that she supports the right. It's infuriating how she makes her point, because I think that she's wrong.
Well, here's my real issue with her, is actually kind of counter to that. A lot of the things that she says are valid. She points out a lot of the problems in the Black community. However, she points these problems out with no alternative ways to fix it.
Yeah, but the thing is that
and she demonizes the community rather than helping it.
Right, and you're right. I did see one where I was like sitting there and I'm going, well, I mean, that is a right about the Black community. But the problem for me with what she says is that when people make those points about the Black community, you cannot enslave Black folks for 200 years and then turn or anybody, and then turn them loose in a new country, not on their land, and say, oh, you're free now. When you've not allowed them to learn to read, they don't have any money. It's like taking a baby and somewhat raising the baby and turning the baby out without an education.
Yeah.
And it's a conditioning over a certain period of time. And then, after a certain number of years, they go and they make some wealth for themselves, and then you rush in and burn down the town. So those are the things when I say that she's not considering and she's not 100% right. Yeah, we should, and I do agree, we need to do better for ourselves. And one of the things I used to say all the time, we cannot sit here and wait on them to do for us. Us Black folks have to do it for ourselves, because you look at Jewish people, you look at Asian, you look at Mexicans, they live 20 to a house, 20 inside of an apartment, and they're able to, they take care of one another. They send back money to their countries for that. We don't do that. And we're sitting here waiting on someone to, they're never going, and as long as we sit here and waiting, it's not going to happen. And those are the things that I'm sorry, but that makes me.
No, I agree.
But those are the things that, which if you're going to point that out, I agree with you. We need to do better. But the reason why, we're not doing better. You go and you look at schools right now, and there are kids that are sitting, in underserved communities, and you go and look at another white community, or more fluent, I will say, community, and you see the difference, and so and then you expect people to pull themselves up by their boots when they don't even have a pair of boots.
But some of them don't even know what boots are or how to spell it, like literally.
Okay.
For real, yeah.
At best, they got a pair of flip-flops and the cheap ones from the dollar store in winter, in the cold.
And also, another issue that I take with Candace Owens is that I feel like the way that she uses her platform is to prey on white people, or what I'm going to say, white people, white conservatives, who then look at her videos or look at her talking points and go, yeah, look at how bad Black people are. Like, look at Black on Black crime. Look at abortion rates in the Black community. And when they do, and here's the thing, she is black and she is genuinely someone who is from a middle class community. So she has some credibility to her talking points when she does speak. But when
Right.
these white conservatives try to use her points without the factual knowledge or without the experiential knowledge of having actually seen these communities and been through it, they come off extraordinarily racist and then try to defend the fact that they're not racist by saying, but a black person.
But we
said it."
posted a black. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's the biggest problem with Candace Owens is that the people who respond to her platform.
Can I tell you guys a story?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
So I work in a grocery store, and one day I was bagging for another cashier. So she was ringing this customer up, and I was at the end of the register bagging. And it was an older white couple, and the gentleman came up to me and he was like, "Oh, thanks so much for bagging." I was like, "No problem." And he said to me, "Hey, do you know Candace?" Just like one name, Candace. And I was like, "No, I don't personally know anyone named Candace." "Why?" And he was like, "Oh, well, she's going to be the next vice president." I put his groceries down and I walked away because I didn't know how to respond to that.
I almost walked away.
Yeah.
I did not know how to respond to that because
I guess
that
we're
was
giving the job out to anyone now.
there was just a lot. Like,
My question is, why did he need to tell you that?
why did he need to ask me that? Do
Yeah.
I know Candace?
Wow.
I'd ask him, okay, bro. And you?
Hmm?
This is a black man?
No. It was an older white couple. They were like seniors.
And like the thing is, were you in like a conversation with this man already, or did he just feel the need to be
Nope,
like,
he
just
just
so you know?
nope. I was just quietly bagging his groceries.
No, I think that might be guilt from the movement. That's their way of saying, hey, we understand that this movement is happening, but wait, we got this lady who we agree with. She's black, and you might love it. She's gonna be the president one day.
Oh no, no. Oh,
They're using Candace like people who her views. They're using her to weaponize against us and devalue the black experience. Ooh.
and like I said, it becomes problematic because of the fact that she never tries to uplift. She only points out and demonizes.
Right. She just tears
Like
down.
if she were saying, what are we going to do to fix education so that these things don't happen, so we can decrease black on black crime, so that we can fix these communities. Her talking points are never, ever, ever positive.
Yeah.
Or saying these are the good qualities of the black community. These are the things that these communities are doing that are positive. Now, here are the negatives. And here's how we're going to fix it. It's never that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Which is why I view her as a racist and why I'm like, we don't want her. We don't want her. Have
We
her.
don't want her. Y'all can have her.
No. No.
Well, I mean, part
Imagine.
that she is, I don't know, somehow that she is kind of paid for her opinion and to do what she's doing. Or if not that she's just doing it because she saw the opportunity and to monetize it. I wouldn't put it, people do a lot of things for a lot of crazy reasons. It's just like, Omarosa, who was, you go back and you can find the tape where she was like, "You're going to be licking his boots." And he kicked your ass to the curb. And then you felt the need to go out and write a book about it. and trying to tell us what we already knew. Really? Get on back over there on the other side of the fence. Don't come over here.
All for some coin.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's when I think that, it's about, it is about those things. To me, they're about power, and they're about position, and they're about money. People will sell themselves for, a little or nothing. And then that means you don't have any morals, no scruples, no dignity.
That's the thing, is that she is, as of right now, one of the it girl talking pieces for the Republican Party. And it's explicitly because she's a Black conservative. It is for no other reason. Other than, I think that she genuinely does believe what she believes, and that's why they pushed her so hard, even though she is not a politician, she's not a congresswoman, senator, governor, none of that. She has no, besides maybe, I don't even know what she studied in college necessarily, if it was political science or not, or economics or anything to do with government or law, but she don't got
neither was Trump.
no business being up there, besides the fact that she's Black and she likes Trump, and we need one of those so that the people who want to vote for Kanye but know they can't vote for Kanye can have someone to rally behind.
God, you had to lose it.
Somebody get him help. He needs help.
Truly.
But actually, like,
Yeah, like